Welcome to episode 1 of Tea and a Reasoning. Hello, Earthlings. Welcome to episode 1 of Tea and a Reasoning. So, today we'll be talking about coming into your own, but first, how are you doing? I'm doing fine. It's Saturday. It's in the evening. It's like 5-ish. Or actually it's 6 now. And it was a little sunny before, but now it's not. It's quite cloudy. There's also a tornado watch, so I actually should get my ass up out of here and go home. But anyways, yeah. So also I'm like I need to purchase a microphone because I've been wanting to film outside, but like it gets noisy. Hopefully you guys can hear me. But anyways, today's tea is actually iced. So we're drinking iced rose and berry tea. Let's talk about the personality of this tea. She's very fruity. So I'd say she's quite girly and summery. And she goes to the farmer's market on Sundays, picks up flowers. So cheers. This is what we're drinking today. Iced rose and berry tea. Very good. Okay, so let's jump into the episode. I think people are coming right now, so I might have to pause this. I'm at this really nice overlook. I like to watch the sunset here sometimes. Okay, so I had to move to another location because I ended up having company at the spot that I was at earlier and things got awkward. So anyways, we moved. Yeah, so let's get into today's episode. So what does it even mean to come into your own? My aunt said this to me a couple of weeks ago, probably over a month ago or something like that. She was saying how proud she was watching my cousins and I come into our own. And I think what she meant by that was each of us was getting our careers started. We've really like started to own our adulthood and becoming independent of our parents and so on. This is a pivotal time point for any young adult or anyone in general. There comes a time in your life where you move out of your parents' house and you start to bring your career into existence, right? You start to, I don't know, have your own family, maybe go on to higher education or even just starting your career. And so I think it's also a point where you start to make decisions on your own, where you start to learn yourself and who you are, what are your values, what makes you who you are. It's almost like a rite of passage for every human being. We all get older and mature and take on the responsibility of being accountable for ourselves, right? Yeah, so I think in addition to the fact that it can feel quite devastating, and we'll talk about why in a few minutes, it's also quite comforting as well, because you start to more and more as you like get into your adulthood and you get confident making your own decisions and confident in knowing who you are. It can be quite comforting. So I moved away from Jamaica when I was 18, and I'd say coming into my own for me started when I moved out on my own, basically. During that time I was going through quite intense heartbreak. I think that whole year was very was a turning point for me in that I was now on my own. I now had the opportunity to really hear my own voice and to make decisions on my own and to understand myself outside of the influence of others, you know? And so I think for me, there were three things that were instrumental in coming into my own. And I wouldn't say I'm an expert on the whole topic of coming into your own, but just as a person who is now an adult and shouldering the responsibility essentially to take care of myself, to also be accountable for my actions, there are three things that kind of helped and are still helping me to come into my own. And sure, like I'm in graduate school, I'm basically undergoing training so that I can launch my career when I'm done and continue to be financially independent and all of that. And yeah, but in terms of coming into my own, in that now I'm not looking to my parents for to tell me what to do or to tell me who I am and things like that, but also learning myself for myself, if that makes sense. So like not looking to others to tell you to determine your actions and your beliefs and so on, essentially. And so coming into your own, yes, it's primarily a you thing, but it also, I would say, includes things from your childhood, so like how you were raised, what values your parents instilled in you. I'm a firm believer in that those things play a role into every human being coming into their own when they get to that point in time. And so the devastation might come in if the things that were instilled in you weren't healthy, or weren't good things, or maybe your traumas have like or maybe your childhood was, I don't know, overshadowed with a lot of trauma. And so coming into your own might mean unlearning those things or taking the time to unlearn those things, to heal from those things, and to really uncover who you are. If things were instilled in you that were healthy, then that kind of gives you a starting point for when you leave your parents and are now on your own and responsible for making your own decisions and so on. Those things will kind of play roles in that. And so I think when it comes to coming into your own, and with that with that in mind that I just explained, I feel like that makes the whole idea of being a parent something serious, and I don't think that's something that should be taken on lightly, because you're essentially responsible for developing the next generation, and you're responsible for them being able to manage when they leave from under your wings, you know? But we're not talking about that part right now. And so back to what I was saying, that whole year was very pivotal for me, and there were three things that helped me come into my own. And the first thing is prayer and asking God to reveal to me who I am, like what are my values, who am I supposed to be, how am I supposed to present myself to the world. And I think that's something that's super important to do. I feel like when it comes to praying to God and things like that, it might be relegated to things like, God, forgive me, or provide me with these things, or thank you for my health, and so on. But truly, when you kind of like go deeper into the crevices, you realize that you can literally ask him for anything, anything, anything. He doesn't withhold good gifts from his children, and so therefore we have unconditional access to ask and to talk to him. And so asking him to reveal to you who you are and to show you who you are now that you've entered into this stage of adulthood is something that has helped me personally, and it's still helping me, as he's essentially provided situations that reveal things about my character, how I view the world, and things like that. And so praying is definitely the first thing I would recommend. The next thing I would recommend is therapy. And if you have access to therapy, I strongly recommend that you take advantage of it. I know that it's something that's not accessible to everyone because of like healthcare reasons, depending on where you are in the world. I know specifically for America, um, insurance plays a role in that, and in order to have good insurance, you need to have a good job and so on. So I know that therapy is not something that's accessible to everyone, and so if I could make therapy accessible to everyone, I definitely would, because it's something that's helped me and I think would be helpful for anyone. And therapy is not something that you only partake in when something is terribly wrong with you, you know, but it's something, I think, it's not just for like you're having specific harmful thoughts or ideations, but it's a tool that you can use, for example, to just have someone to talk about something complex with, to help you see a new perspective, and also get objective feedback about a situation or a relationship or whatever it may be. And so, for people who don't have access to therapy, if you have someone who you trust completely, then you can definitely, and they have the space to, or I guess they have the capacity to hold the space for you to kind of discuss certain things with them, then that's definitely something that you should do. I think for me, I started my first experience with therapy was in 2016, and I did it for a year, and then I had stopped. And then now that I'm in grad school and I have access to mental health services through my institution, I've started back the journey. And I will say that it's been very helpful in terms of helping me navigate complex and complicated situations. It's helped me gain new perspective. It's helped me to essentially just have someone that I can vent to without feeling like they will tell it to someone else or I'll be judged or whatever. And it kind of just help me navigate something that might be hard to navigate on my own. And also to help me understand things that I might be confused about. And so I think for me, therapy has given me really good clarity on relationships, on things that trigger me, on things about myself that are potentially that I might not have known about, but are negative traits that I'm trying to, um, I guess, kind of make my way through, understand why they are there, and so on. And so the third thing, if therapy is not something that you have access to, I would recommend is journaling. Journaling has been, it's something that you can get a notebook or you can get a piece of paper, write it in your notes app on your phone, just anything at all. Like, just get you a quiet space. There are lots of prompts or writing prompts online that you can access, and just answer those prompts and kind of like make your way through your brain. I like to think of my brain as like a library with like lots and lots and lots of different books, right? And in each book, there's something that I need to uncover. And so sometimes it might be hard to go through. Let's think of like the analogy of the library, as I'm saying. You go into a library, you ask the librarian to give you some assistance in finding a book or navigating a specific aisle in the library, right? The same goes for a therapist, right? You might have all these things in your mind, in your brain, that you don't understand, and so having an extra person there to look and help guide you through that process is definitely something helpful. And so, in the same way, journaling does that. As you can essentially write down, let's say you have a situation happen and you're like, why did this situation make me feel this certain way? And you kind of like make your way through your own thoughts and you understand and get little nuggets about who you are, how you feel in certain situations, what types of things are able to kind of pull out certain reactions out of you. And so, yeah, journaling is very helpful for that. Yeah. And so those are three things that have been quite instrumental in helping me come into my own. I would say coming into my own has been, I wouldn't say it's been an easy process. Definitely not. There are definitely things that I'm still making my way through and trying to understand. But with the help of those three things, and also community is something that's very helpful as well. That one we'll talk about in its own episode. That can get quite complicated. But yeah. And so the whole idea of coming into your own, being out, going out there into the world without, it's not like, so like your parents are still there, right? But for the most part, for a lot of adults, when they get older and they move away from their parents, your parents aren't primarily there to be like, do this, do that, go here, go there, don't go there, don't be this person, be this person, and so on. And so I feel like for me, living on my own has allowed me the space to understand my needs and essentially to be able to express those needs. Um, yeah. So I feel like coming into your own, it's quite a layered topic and definitely not something that can be fully, thoroughly explored in one episode. And so, because the theme of this series is coming into your own, I'll be dissecting different topics that feed into the whole umbrella of coming into your own. Um, but yeah, I think I will end with a list of things that constitute coming into your own. So the first thing about first growing into an adult. Then there's moving out into your own space. There's understanding yourself as a person, like what are your triggers, what are good things about you, what are some negative traits that might need to be revisited and explored and understood. Um, Understanding what you like, right, outside of the influence of others, and being able to make your own decisions confidently, right? Being able to stand on your own, essentially, without being held up by someone else. And so I think coming into your own is a very beautiful thing. It's also quite painful. But if you're not growing, right, if you're just stagnant, then that's anything that's not growing is dead, right? And so I think coming into your own is a part of life that right now I'd say I'm enjoying. Like I said, it can be quite a devastating process. And so, yeah, we just have to hold space for that. But yeah, coming into your own, a very interesting time in life that I think we should all embrace, and I think we probably are. I hope this was helpful, and if you have any other thoughts that I might have missed in today's episode, feel free to comment it down below. I would love to hear your thoughts and how you're dealing with coming into your own. Yeah, I think for me, one of the major things about coming into my own is the freedom of being myself, and I'm still learning how to fully be myself. And so coming into your own is something that will allow you to if you're like able to understand yourself, being able to understand yourself will allow you to be yourself, because in order to be yourself you have to understand who you are. And yeah, and so the freedom of essentially being out in the world on my own, I've been able to really understand my likes and dislikes, what my values are, what my boundaries are. And so coming into your own, man, It's like a treasure chest with lots and lots of layers. And so yeah, cheers to coming into our own. I will see you next week.